What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Hardwood Convos podcast here on the 505 Podcast Network. I'm Brock Bierman, alongside, as always, the boys, Dawson Livingston and Hunter Rose, getting ready here for the NBA Finals, which tip off this Thursday. We are recording here on a Tuesday night, probably releasing the show Wednesday morning, so hopefully everybody's having a good Wednesday. If you're viewing this while we're live streaming on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, or if you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, wherever you get your podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, honestly. But we got a finals matchup. Some are happy, some are not happy. We also have news of a head coaching position opening up in New York, so we'll talk a little bit about that, as well as any other random things that happen to appear on this show, because it seems like a common thing that happens for us is just going on random tangents that have nothing to do with what we probably should be talking about. So as always, we start every episode with checking in with the boys. So Dawson and Hunter, how are we feeling? Yeah, just the floor is yours.
Feeling not too bad. One more week removed from the Cavs' playoff struggles, but hey, we're in summer now. No more basketball talk for me. You'll get like 2 more weeks of this, of Hardwood Convos content. Then I don't have to think about basketball for a long time. But no, I'm feeling good. Feeling good.
Stinky basketball. So, and the Brewers were once on the longest win streak in the MLB. And then tonight, on this terrible Tuesday, June 3rd happened, and the Brewers, with the game leaving their fingertips, had a spark of once most electric baseball player in the world, Ellie De La Cruz, throws an absolute missile over the first baseman to have a man on there, down to Jake Bauers to the plate, swings for the fences, and it gets robbed to end the game. I'm devastated. I'm in a bad mood. And I have to talk about Indiana Pacer basketball, because Brock so graciously just invited us into this tonight.
Yeah.
Can't believe it.
I mean, I can talk with myself. I mean, I'm used to that. I will say about your Brewers, though, you're still 6 games, even though you're having a long win streak, still 6 games out from MVP or MVPCA, depending on what type of
stop. No.
Depending on how you want to give him the nickname.
That dude is such a weirdo. He doesn't deserve a nickname. Are you kidding me?
I'll never forget when he first showed up to AAA and everybody was like, "Oh, this guy's so good." I'm like, "Oh, like, what do you mean? Like, just good or like really good?" And they're like, "He won't be here that much longer." I was like, "He just got here." Mm-hmm. I think his first at bat, it was either his first or second at bat, was like dead center homer, and I was like, "Oh, he's not going to be here that much longer."
He ain't Jackson Churio. That's all I'll say.
That's fair. The only time I watch baseball is when I'm in Adel and they got Marquee Sports Network on, and I don't really get a choice because it's not my house. So, and when that happens, you just learn to watch PCA and Dansby Swanson and Suzuki ball out.
Woo! Gross.
But obviously we're going to talk some NBA hoops here. We will get into a deep dive of the NBA Finals matchup between the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Pacers were able to finish off the Eastern Conference Finals against the New York Knicks in Game 5, right? Yeah, Game 5.
Well, Dawson reminded us that us Knicks and 9
Game 6
are still alive and proud. All right. We're still cheering. Knicks and 9, baby.
Knicks and 9? Or
come on.
Was it 6? God, why am I blanking? No, it was 5.
It was 6.
It was 6? Why did I think it was 5?
5, the series would have ended on New York's home court.
Yeah, duh.
6.
Dude, I got
Pacers
all these
record.
games like oh, because it was 3-1. Duh. It was
Yeah.
3-1. My brain what doing? Maybe I
It's
think that
4-2.
way.
Knicks are coming back.
Just stop.
Possible. It's possible.
I guess the
You just
way
gotta
that
win
I
3
thought of
straight.
it is it feels like it was pretty much Indiana's series for the most part because no one was really talking about anything good New York did the entire series, which may have resulted in what happened today, where the New York Knicks announced that they have fired head coach Tom Thibodeau after losing in the Eastern Conference Finals to the Indiana Pacers, getting eliminated by the Pacers in the playoffs. 3-2 was the 4-2 was the final of that series, and not just that. Game 6 was a little stinky for New York. Indiana was able to really just kind of manhandle the Knicks, and you could tell that the pace that the Pacers, pun intended, play with was just too much for the Knicks and their small depth. So 125-108 was the final of that score, and it resulted in Thibodeau getting fired. I mentioned last week that I actually thought he was probably going to get fired. I wasn't like extremely confident, like I would have put money on it. And actually after the game, I was less confident in Thibodeau getting fired because players and a lot of people just made it seem like his position was kind of safe with New York. Are you guys shocked? Were you guys really shocked about this move? Because I know you guys kind of had a feeling that he would be the next coach next year, no matter what. So what are your guys' thoughts on the news today of Thibodeau getting fired?
That man, Karl Anthony Towns, has gotten Tom Thibodeau fired from 2 different jobs. That man, Karl Towns, is no longer going to be a Knick, if I had to take a guess in the offseason. But who knows? We're still early into the offseason. But I said on last week's episode, I would have been shocked had they fired Thibodeau. For me, looking at next year's Eastern Conference, I think the 2 best teams in the East next year are probably New York and Indiana, because the East is just, there's so much unknown. I'm a Cavs fan, but I know the roller coaster that team's always on. But like, they were probably going to be the second favorite behind the Knicks to win that conference next year, because Boston's got the Tatum injury and they got some off-season questions that they have to solve. We don't know what's going to happen with Milwaukee. Outside of that, I mean, no one's picking Philly to do anything next year. So it was really going to be between Indiana and New York again next year, which, I don't know, it's kind of shocking that, for me anyway, that they ended up canning Thibodeau, because I thought they could have replicated this success at least till next year, but what do I know? But yeah, I was surprised by this move.
I think I was more surprised at how quick it happened more than anything, where it's like they did not. This is how down bad Hunter is right now. My first thought that came to mind when I saw that report hit my phone was, Dr. Glenn Rivers still has a head coaching job. And it's been 35 days since the Bucks last played basketball. And the Knicks haven't played in 3 days? Is that right? 3 days? 4 days? So yeah, I was a little surprised. But yeah, I think it definitely, I think Dawson said it well, of like, especially considering what the East could look like next year, it is very, very weird to just kind of clean out the head coaching spot, especially that quickly. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we talked about when Brock brought up the question last week of like who's available in the coaching market, right? Like who's all going to be out there. And, obviously you have Michael Malone, Taylor Jenkins, and then obviously that got us onto our tangent of thinking about potential assistant coaches that are available, such as like Sam Cassell over in Boston being a potential head coach for next year. And even going through some, I think, Dunk Central put on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, had some of the favorites betting wise for next coaches, and For some reason, Kenny Atkinson was on there. I don't know about that one. I feel like he's probably going to be in Cleveland if I were to take a gander.
I will be irate if that happens.
Yeah, that would be crazy. But there are a few names. I mean, Mike D'Antoni was another one that was on, pretty deep on the list. And then, of course, Stephen A. Smith at plus 6,000. Great bet right there.
That's good value right there.
Yeah, honestly. I mean, I'm sure Spike Lee's around that too. So
was that a legit thing?
Probably. I don't know.
I think so.
Who knows? But it probably not like DraftKings or FanDuel, but probably like some other weird site that you should not use. But yeah, it was a little weird dabbing that quickly. I know you and I mentioned, I think, yeah, like you said, Brock, Dawson and I were both like, I don't think he would get fired, but there was definitely a chance of it, but especially just based off of how it seemed players and even most some fans at least see Tibbs kind of weird.
I mean, let's be honest. Am I wrong for saying this is where they're at right now? If they would have kept Tibbs, would have probably been the ceiling anyways. Because Tibbs has yet to prove to me that he can go farther than this.
Maybe, but they're one fluky game one choke job away from being up 3-2 in that series versus being down 3. Like,
but Indiana's also a fluky 20-point lead away from
That's true. I don't know. I think the New York has more roster issues than they do coaching issues. As much crap as I give Tibbs, and rightfully so, but I just don't see the options that are out there that are going to be much better than Tibbs, if that makes sense. Like, we all give him crap for playing his guys 48 minutes a game in the playoffs. And that's a real thing, but at this point, we're so late into the cycle with hiring coaches that, I don't know. I just don't think there's that many good qualified candidates out there, especially to coach a team like the Knicks where you're in the spotlight all the time. You're coaching the most popular team in that state, one of the more popular teams in the NBA. You're always going to be in the headlines. I don't know. I just think it's kind of a knee-jerk reaction for New York.
Yeah, I think too. Yeah, and it's kind of what we mentioned too before is like overall, like their depth. Like Brock, I know Brock loves their starting five, and I think we all would agree that their starting five is very good. But especially once
their bench is terrible.
6-man, it's just like this is. And I think the other thing too, I think Dawson putting it as a knee jerk. I think is like the perfect analogy for this team, because I think one of the things that's been done now in the past couple of days is he played okay. But when you revisit the Mikal Bridges Nets trade, which pains me because I was on such a Mikal Bridges hype train for a long, long time. But we look at this and we see rough. Unprotected first round in 25, unprotected first round in 27, unprotected first round in 29, unprotected first round in 31, unprotected pick swap in 28, top 4 protected 2025 first round pick via Bucks, and second round pick in 2025, all for Mikal Bridges, is a little concerning, to say the least. Now, again, they'll be back, as you guys have both mentioned, probably a favorite in the East for next year. But they really, to say it once again in a heartbreaking way, they love trying to swing for the fences sometimes, and I don't know about that one, and potentially what could come next for New York for whoever takes that head coaching spot. I guess, do you guys think they already have somebody in mind for that head coach? Or do you think
I'm just saying, I just want to point out that after Jason Tatum tore his Achilles, there's a shot of Rick Pitino celebrating. And Rick Pitino, he loves New York, and he wants to prove everybody that he can coach in both leagues.
Stop.
I'm kidding.
Stop.
I, for one, as a Celtics fan, would love Rick Pitino to go coach the New York Knicks.
Stop.
But no, I mean, they wouldn't have done it as early if they didn't already have someone in the back of their mind.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think again, I threw out the hypothetical like Villanova thing with Jay Wright. Don't think that's going to actually happen. I think some people have thrown out the possibility of Jeff Van Gundy making a return to New York
That'd
after,
be electric.
which it would honestly make it hard to cheer against the Knicks because I love Van Gundy.
Stop.
But
Making me sick.
I think what?
There's some Jeff Van Gundy quotes out there that just make me giggle. That I'm not gonna repeat.
Yeah.
Are you guys curious of the odds for the coaching?
Yeah, I
I
can't
bet
remember
you-
him honestly.
I bet
but
you Malone and then Bryant or something like that are 1 and 2.
Yeah, Michael Malone is the odds-on favorite at plus 125. Then Johnny Bryant, who's the Cavs assistant, is plus 400.
Show me Mike
Jay-
Budenholzer.
Budenholzer's coming up. Just
Thank
give me
Thank
2
you.
seconds. Jay Wright is third at plus 1,500. Budenholzer's tied for third at plus 1,500. Rick Brunson himself
Oh wow.
is plus 1,500. And then it's like Monty Williams, Taylor Jenkins,
Dude.
John
Dude.
Calipari.
No. That's it. Give me Brunson's dad. Give me Brunson's
I mean,
dad.
wouldn't that be an in-house hire? Like,
Yeah.
that honestly checks out. Kind
Give
of
it
weird.
to me. Give it to me. I'm all in on that because if it crashes and burns, oh baby,
The city of New York will implode.
the Brunson family will never be allowed to be shown in the Big Apple again.
Didn't Danny Ainge bring an Ainge into Utah too in the last week?
I think
Yeah.
Danny Ainge though is getting ready to step down. That's the thing.
That makes sense.
Because he's been the GM / like president for a couple different teams for like the last 20 years.
Mhm.
So
Are you talking about Danny Ainge?
yeah, Danny Ainge, yeah.
Outside of Boston, he's been in Utah. I don't know where he
Oh,
was
really?
before Boston.
I don't know why I thought he was with Boston and one other before, but maybe I'm wrong.
I think he may have been somewhere before Boston, which wouldn't shock me. I just know that he was the guy that built and destroyed the Big
The
Three,
big three.
which shout out Danny Ainge
Yeah.
for pulling off one of the craziest trades of all time. Shout out
Yeah.
Jason Terry. Not anyone else involved in that trade. Shout out Jason Terry for being one of the fall guys for the Boston Celtics.
Like when he got dunked on?
Yep.
Thank you. By who? Just curious. For some reason it's just escaping my mind who he
Yeah,
possibly could have gotten dunked on. And I feel like Brock knows and he won't tell me.
Cole Chalmers. What's the last name?
What
Oh,
is
Chris
the-
Anderson.
No, Birdman.
That doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right.
Oh.
I don't feel like that's the GOAT.
Oh man, Mike Bibby still wasn't on that team, was he?
Who could it have been?
So, anyways, I'm so happy that you overmodulated on that, and so you can barely hear who you said. But Thibodeau is out. We'll see who comes in. I mean, do you guys? I think Malone's probably going to end up being their coach. Honestly,
I think honestly, like based off of how they carry themselves, that wouldn't be a huge change.
do you think Phil Jackson's still around?
No,
We're-
that'd be crazy.
Do you remember when they
run the
brought him back?
Running the triangle
Oh my
with
God,
Brunson and Cat though would be something. In big old 2025.
But do you remember when they brought him back? It was like, why?
I just
Why?
remember that Stephen A. Smith rant.
And
His first move as a general manager was to sign Lamar Odom, who was on crack.
Oh my god!
Crazy.
And you just see Max Kellerman. He's just like, oh gosh.
He did draft Kristaps Porzingis. That's one Phil Jackson plus that he did for the Knicks. So
Yeah, shout out
Dingus Pingus.
Tingus.
Literally, if anybody would to ever give me a jersey that said Tingus Pingus on the back of it, literally would forever be indebted to that person. It has to be a
Yeah.
Celtics one though.
You don't say.
You don't want a Wizards one?
No,
Ooh.
nobody wants a
Ooh.
Tingus Pingus Wizards jersey.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Maybe a Mavericks City Edition Tingus Pingus jersey?
Okay, here's the thing. Y'all hate on those City Editions jerseys that the Mavericks like
Hey,
the
I'm not.
the
I didn't say I
graffiti one.
hated
Are you
it.
talking about the graffiti ones?
Yeah.
I thought those were great.
I'm not hating.
I thought those were great.
Saying.
Well, for those that are probably waiting for us, because we love talking about jerseys and logos and everything, that are waiting on us to talk a little bit about the Orlando Magic complete rebrand. I thought it was just going to be jerseys. Ended up being a complete overhaul. I think we'll end up doing a separate episode of that once the season gets over and we can actually have like a complete conversation about that. Because personally, I would love to do an episode with you guys where we talk about teams that either need to rebrand or relocate as well. Because I think there are some teams that could benefit from a rebrand as well as potentially relocating personally. But that's just my opinions. We'll touch on that though. I guess
Brock's gonna say Miami is the first team that needs to relocate.
no, I do think they need a rebrand though.
Yeah.
Keep the name. I think that they should have completely adapted that Miami Vice look. Just have that be their brand.
Maybe.
But me personally, I think the Miami Dolphins, get rid of the orange and put that pink in. I think it's great. But the Miami Vice look is just so clean, and I don't know why those teams don't just like completely commit to that. But there's a reason I'm sitting in Slater, Iowa right now doing this show and not in Miami making these decisions. But I guess the Orlando Magic rebrand or jersey, like, let's just give it a quick one word or one quick statement for each person. I think they hit a home run, and it's a great homage to, you know, the 90s look that they had, as well as making it more modern. I think it was a great rebrand as well as jersey reveals.
Go Pinstripes.
Yeah.
This is a message to every team out there that had their team in the 90s, which is almost everyone. Please bring back pinstripes. It's such a clean look. It looks so good with the jerseys. Oh, man.
Dude,
Please bring it back.
The Bulls black jerseys with the pinstripes are one of the coldest looking.
Some teams don't need them. It's a little much, but
Like the Lakers.
Magic.
Did the Lakers ever
Raptors.
have that? I don't think they ever had pinstripes.
I don't know, but let's keep it that way if they did.
Okay. I know Boston did it. They've had the same jersey since they established their team.
Beginning of time.
Yeah.
When NBA signed that deal with Nike where it like forced teams to have different versions of jerseys, Boston was like, what the hell, man?
What do we do?
You're telling us we have to add more than green and white?
This
Okay.
rule for the jerseys for like the Hornets, so they could sell tickets in cool jerseys, not for the Celtics.
Seriously. Oh my gosh. We should, that's another episode, ranking the worst City Edition jerseys. I know that everybody's number ones will be the Heat Culture jerseys. Those were
I'm kind of a fan of them. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
sometimes, Dawson, sometimes
Let's
I
hear
don't know about you, but that's for another episode. Let's get into the actual NBA Finals preview that this show is pretty much based all around. And we got the Pacers and the Thunder. We talked about it last week. It is the Paul George Finals when you really look at how these teams have been able to be structured. Oklahoma City traded for Paul George from Indiana. Then they traded for Shea Gilgeous-Alexander from the Clippers and a bunch of picks that is now turned into the roster that they have today. Indiana then used the assets that they gained from the trade from Oklahoma City with Paul George to get Tyrese Halliburton and some other players that are on their roster today as well. Two small markets. I am a little worried about what viewership is going to look like, but I do think that this will be a very interesting matchup because you got a team that in Oklahoma City that I think on paper should destroy Indiana respectfully. But you have a team in Indiana who, I've said this before, Rick Carlisle is like one of the most underrated coaches in NBA history. He only has one championship to really show for his work, but I feel like he is one of those guys that no one really thinks about when they talk about great coaches, but yet he's always his teams are always competing at least for a trip to the finals. So, and they are the fastest team in the NBA, I'm pretty sure, by every metric out there. So early thoughts for you guys on this matchup between the Thunder and the Pacers. By the way, I know the Thunder have historically a championship from their previous stop in Seattle, but in my opinion, both teams are competing for their franchise's first ever NBA championship. So that is another aspect from this finals matchup that is fun to at least have added to it.
Yeah, first chip in like modern basketball history.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Both teams.
No more mailman and plumber. Yeah. Sorry. I always have to dog the anything pre-1980, 1990s. But it should be a fun. I think the good way to look at this series is what's going to look like with Oklahoma City's defense and Indiana's offense. Because Brock, you said their pace, they're always going up and down the court. Indiana doesn't really want to run half-court sets. They want to get out in transition. They want to go. They're willing to run half-court sets, but that's not really their forte. And we obviously know how good Oklahoma City's defense is. I saw a stat. They haven't lost to an Eastern Conference team at home since last season. And that one team that beat them was the Indiana Pacers, funny enough. But yeah, this should be, on that aspect, should be interesting. Where I could see this series being blown open is when we talk about Oklahoma City's offense going against Indiana's defense. I don't think Indiana has like a great defense by any stretch. They have a couple good defensive players. Miles Turner's a good rim protector. Aaron Nesmith's a good perimeter defender, who they'll probably have guarding Shea this series. But I just don't think Indiana's going to be able to get enough stops to slow down this Thunder team. Because we talk about Indiana's depth, but Oklahoma City can also go 8, 9, 10 guys on their team that can play like legit playoff minutes.
Thanks, Clippers.
Yeah. Jesus. Yeah, that Clippers trade single-handedly gave them not only Shea, but for Jalen Williams as well. So,
Jalen Williams or Jalen Williams?
Jalen Williams.
Oh,
Not to be confused with Jalen Williams.
Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, sorry. I should have specified. That's on me. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to do picks right now, but I think I'm going to lean OKC in this series.
Yeah, man. If you love hate watches, this is the series for you. And boy, howdy, am I excited for that. But at the end of the day, you know, when we look at our playoff statistics, we're looking at two of the best offensive ratings in the playoffs this year. I don't think the Pacers' defensive net rating is super good. However, we've seen, you know, in those 20-point comeback wins that they've had, there are moments of them shining. And obviously two of the top pace teams in the NBA playoffs. So this, like, I know Brock brought up the viewership stuff, and that, you know, that is obviously, you know, is important for those in the suits. But if you are a basketball fan, which I know Brock would also agree with, you will enjoy watching this series at the end of the day. All right. For the love of the game itself, and for the love of the hate watch itself, this is a series to watch, and hopefully will be one of the better playoffs, one of the better finals we've seen in the past few years. So I think, you know, obviously Brock would probably think last year's finals was pretty good, but Dawson and I think both agree that the last great one.
I mean, for me, the
2021.
Results. This is just me personally. The results was great.
Yeah.
The series wasn't really.
The basketball itself was.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, so I don't know. I think once again, though, as much as I would love to be excited for this, I have said on this podcast before, I can't wait for blank team to roll the Pacers. And here we are in the finals. So
Hunter, you almost got to pick the Pacers to help to stop this run.
So forgive me if I'm a little scared to say who I think's going to win the NBA Finals. All right,
Hunter, take one for the team. Pick the Pacers, please.
but I in my soul and right conscience could not possibly say the Pacers can win the NBA Finals.
No,
please,
we're cooked.
please.
I hope
Please.
now that Indiana like wins the finals and they somehow like their social media team somehow finds the clip of you saying this, and then they go back to all
Brock's
of our...
gonna send it in.
Yeah,
Brock's he's gonna do it into
I'm not gonna say who's gonna win this series. I'm gonna say who's gonna lose this series. All right, and that's how we break free.
Who's gonna lose?
The Pacers.
The NBA fans.
Yeah, everybody, everywhere. America loses.
Yes.
I am happy for this series. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I truly think that this will be a somewhat entertaining, at least first two games, just because, you know, the first two games is really when everybody like puts in 1,000% in terms of like energy, showmanship, all that type stuff. After game two, that's when you start realizing who may have the upper hand. And if it's 1-1 and both games were like game winners, maybe game three will be the same way. But if it's like game one, Thunder win by 25, and game two, the Pacers win by 18 or something like that, it's gonna be interesting to see what that game three will look like. And then if it's the opposite, though, in terms of like the Thunder just win by 25 both games, then game three and game four are not going to be really that entertaining, or the excitingness of the series will completely go away. Now, if in my personal opinion, just because it would shock everybody, if Indiana would to walk in and go up 2-0 heading into Indianapolis for game three, I'm worried for the well-being of the Thunder players having to go into Indianapolis and go up against a fan base that has been desperately waiting for good basketball for years, because Indiana is a basketball state. I know Indiana college football had a great year last year, but they would take an Indiana men's basketball national championship over a college football playoff appearance from their Hoosiers any day of the week. So the fact that the Pacers have never won a championship makes it that much more intense if Indianapolis is the site for a 2-0 Pacers lead in the finals for game three.
I mean,
good thing that won't happen.
Yeah, these are also two teams that just love to aura farm. So if you love brain rot, this is the series for you too. This is,
Who's someone though? Because I feel like there are a lot of names that aren't being mentioned as much from both sides. But who is someone that you guys are kind of looking at that could be that like under the radar? It won't win Finals MVP, but like if you're a fan of that said team, if they win the finals, you're going to be like, that guy was the main reason that we were able to stay in all these games. I call it the I had to look up his name before we started the show. The Matthew Dellavedova effect. Just the guy that like everyone that's cheering for
had to look his name up before the show.
Yeah, that's Bucks legend Matthew Dellavedova. That's Bucks and Cavs legend Matthew Dellavedova to you. All right.
Almost died on the court.
He almost died guarding Steph Curry. All right, come on.
Okay, but Reggie Lewis literally died on the court. But sorry.
Wow, way to just ruin the energy.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I'm done. You guys do the rest of the show.
So I think the first two players that come to mind, and I think they both have been recognized, and especially going into the finals, but like Caruso and Hartenstein, like by far, for the Thunder. Just the way Caruso has played the entire playoffs in general, like you see even the Thunder players and Thunder fans just constantly like, this dude is a dog. And then iHeart, especially with him being brought again, both of these guys being brought in in free agency this last summer, but especially with iHeart, just in general with the season, the way he's able to be the big, like not as in big guys, because Chet Holmgren's obviously very, very tall, but just be the body down low. His floater game at times, sometimes abysmal, sometimes fantastic, but most of the time pretty good. Both of those guys, I think, are the first two that come to mind, and especially considering their overall, mostly Caruso's defensive prowess, but even Ihart's at times. Like, when I think of them specifically guarding, whether it's Tyrese, and then obviously, Lou Dort's probably going to guard Halliburton as well. But then, Ihart probably on Turner, but maybe if they need to switch things up, throwing him on even Siakam if he's being able to get down low too easily. I think those are probably two of the guys that I would say for the Thunder, especially.
For me, when looking at the Thunder, obviously I agree. I like Hunters too. The one that I'm going to just make notice of, this guy won't get close to Finals MVP, and I recognize that, but he will be a huge contributor in these finals for being, I think, only a second or third year player. I'm really looking to see what Kason Wallace's defense is going to be on Tyrese Halliburton and Andrew Nembhard for this final series, because he's kind of their last great perimeter defender. Because obviously they have Caruso, they have Dort, and then it's Kason Wallace is the next great defender, perimeter defender on that team. If they're able to just slow down Tyrese Halliburton a little bit from passing the ball like he was in that Knicks series where, what do you have, 33, 15, and 10? Something like that. If they're able to slow him down, I think that's going to be good for the Thunder. For the Pacers, I don't know if we want to get on to that section yet, but I'll just bring it up. I think my guy's got to be Andrew Nembhard. One thing that kind of went under the radar, even with the Pacers winning last series, is Nembhard kind of played terrible in that series. I don't know if you guys saw games 3, 4, and 5. He shot 2 of 9, 1 of 9, and 3 for 8. He played a little bit
for it on the defensive side of the ball in Game 6 for sure.
Right, Game 6 he played a lot better. He had 6 steals, 8 assists, but he's going to be huge. The Pacers need him a lot because Halliburton's going to be doubled every time they run pick and roll, and Nembhard is their second primary ball handler. So if he's able to initiate offense and get the team going, I think that's going to be good for Indiana. So I think I have Nembhard for the Pacers.
I think Caruso obviously is the pick for me for the Thunder. If the Thunder are going to win, I would love to see Caruso have this historic, once in a lifetime finals run where he actually does win MVP. Because people would lose their mind if Alex Caruso ended up winning MVP. More specifically, LA Laker fans will lose their mind if Alex Caruso wins a finals MVP because they gave him up. They didn't want him. And so, and he does a little bit of everything. He plays some good defense. He's not afraid to go up against anyone. He's that guy that just I want to play basketball. Don't care what people are going to do to stop me. I'm going to do what I want to do. Another guy kind of on the Pacer side of the ball, TJ McConnell's kind of that vibe as well. Not in terms of production, because he's not that good of a scorer. He's if he can get by the defender, depending on who he's matched up with, he can get to the hoop as good as anyone. And so I've always told people that TJ McConnell looks like someone that's got 5 kids and he's pulling up to his weekly YMCA game, getting ready to hoop. But those are the two guys that I immediately go to. Nembhard is the other person for the Pacers I think needs to step up. Defensively, he played really well in Game 6, but offensively, the numbers haven't necessarily been there. And like Dawson said, if Tyrese is going to get doubled, which he will, if he doesn't, this might actually be a closer series than people think. Nembhard's got to be that second guy that can handle the ball. And then, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much where I stand with that stuff.
I think if I had a gun to the back of my head and had to pick a Pacers player to say, I think a name that has not been heard as much this postseason for the Pacers as much as I would have thought, and the times his name does get brought up is not usually for good reasons, is Mathurin. Because he has had some good games. You know, if we pull up, his series most notably against both the Cavs, where he had a little bit of a spat with DeAndre Hunter. He had a couple games where he was scoring. Like, I think he had one where he had over 20, another one where he was close. And if you look at the Knicks, again, couple games where he was racking up some points. But then you look at the other games and it's like, wow, he played? Like, he was on the floor?
Cardio.
Yeah, are we sure? And then again, like, when he just does these stupid things, it's like, dude, opposite of Caruso. Like, go play Go play basketball. Stop doing all this extra stuff. There's a difference between playing with a chip on your shoulder and playing like an idiot. All right, they're two very different things. And when you got a dude that says he won't believe LeBron James is better than him until he sees it for himself, you know you're going to get an idiot, not a guy with a chip on his shoulder. But I think for this series, especially,
Kobe and Jordan an idiot.
No, because they're actually good.
Okay.
Anyway, but
sorry.
But yeah, I think especially like as we mentioned with Hallie probably getting doubled, and obviously you have somehow Eastern Conference Finals MVP Pascal Siakam, who again, you won't fool me, he's not good at basketball.
You're not a big fan of Spinny P?
Spinny P.
Got
he doesn't spin anymore.
Got one move in the bag, and that's it.
He doesn't spin anymore.
I said that last weekend on Saturday, and Sarah just goes, "The frick did you say?"
Ooh, like, Spinny P.
Spinny P.
But yeah,
I was like, "Oh, if you think that's cool, I should introduce you to Swaggy P. He's got a story.
Now that is a guy with a bag right there. All right." But yeah, especially when those two guys are probably going to be getting the most attention. Like, it's, again, we've seen Neesmith step up. We've even seen Nembhard, not so much last series step up, but overall playoff shooting wise has stepped up. Next guy up once again is going to have to step up. So
no love for Obi Toppin.
All right. No love for anybody. All right. I already said if somebody were to have a gun to the back of my head and I have to say somebody, that's what I would say.
He did
I'm
specify.
I am surprised that you didn't just say pull the trigger.
We were tempted. All right. We were tempted.
Yeah, I've been like, you must pick someone. All right.
I pick death.
Yeah, I'd be like, what's stopping you?
Now, what are you going to do about it, huh?
You had me at Pacers. Pull it.
So you guys know the Pacers have a bunch of players from that 2020 draft class, the COVID draft class. I think they have Toppin, Neesmith, Halliburton. You know they have another guy that could potentially win his second ring from that draft class? James Wiseman.
You're gross.
Technically played for the Pacers at one point in the season, so he could have.
Did he win? Did he play enough games though?
I think he still gets a ring. I think he still played 8 minutes. I still think he
ask
qualified.
Google AI.
Huge.
5 minutes. Sorry, 5 minutes. He scored 6 points.
Ooh, that's pretty big.
No, I saw that on Twitter and I felt the need to bring it up. Same with Thomas Bryant. Thomas Bryant could get a ring too.
Oh my gosh.
Thomas Bryant
have a second ring.
When did he develop a 3-point shot?
Just for that game. Yeah. Just for that moment.
Honestly, did either of you know that he could make threes?
I mean, on 2K, his 3-point rating's not too bad. I know that. It's not good, but it's not too bad either.
He was just pulling the trigger.
He was.
He was
no hesitation either.
And I was like, what is this dude doing?
And
then he made one. I was like, okay, that's just, they're on fire right now.
He's shooting 54% from 3 this postseason.
Well, how many threes? How many threes has he shot?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's asking too much.
That's inflating.
No.
Okay.
All right.
Hold on, let me pull.
We don't need context.
That he's taken?
How many has he taken?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14.
So he's made 8.
Yeah.
Curry used to do that in his
sleep. He made 3 in the last game, so don't hate too much.
No, stop. Oh my gosh. I forgot that.
Thomas Bryant.
I forgot. Okay, so you mentioned James Wiseman, and so I looked up his path this year. I completely forgot that he tore his Achilles after this the season opener.
Brutal.
Yeah.
And then he got waived by the Raptors.
Brutal.
Which is
James
sad because the
Wiseman.
Raptors
That
employ
is-
anyone.
That is
dude.
one player that I was so wrong about.
I think we
And
were
a
all
lot of people were wrong about as well.
Mhm.
Because I thought he could have been something for sure.
Anyway, massive for the Warriors team that
wrong.
somehow
Oh
got
my
him.
goodness.
It was scary for a little bit.
And they still won.
And then Kevon Looney.
then
Let
they
me tell you, the real legend.
Yes.
Oh man, he really was Batman. He's just brooding and waiting.
Hey, man,
to
you cannot
destroy Boston.
convince me that Andrew Wiggins wasn't the best player
Oh yeah, no, he
in that finals. Andrew Wiggins for 3 weeks became the Andrew Wiggins that everybody thought he was going to be when he made the NBA. And then after that was like, nah, I'm good.
Andrew Wiggins and Jordan Poole when they have at least a double-digit lead.
Oh my gosh.
All-star starter Andrew Wiggins, might you add.
You want to talk
Yeah.
about teams that really upset me, or like you guys really hate this Pacers team? That I really hated that Warriors team because it was like this team
I
shouldn't.
can only wonder why. I really
Even
can only
before then,
wonder.
it was like this team really shouldn't be where they're at. I'm sorry, I really didn't see what they like. And obviously, their guys since then have done so well for themselves. Well, except for, I mean, James Wiseman is the outlier. He could become a 2-time NBA champ. So
Yeah.
But
he won't, because the Pacers will lose.
I was gonna say that's a huge. I had to throw that in there, but yeah, they're not winning this series, so it won't matter.
sucks that the Thunder don't have Thunder legend Abdul Nader on the roster anymore,
You're right.
or Thunder
Or-
legend Deontay
The one
Burton,
and only, the real Zion.
the real Zion.
And that is all we will be mentioning about that guy, who should probably not be associated with the game of basketball anymore.
Yeah, we're not going to get into that one at all.
Yeah.
Especially, yeah.
Anywho,
We've had a couple of those.
The
The
finals.
finals. He played his final game, but
did
Do
you
we
guys see
wanna-
the odds for this finals?
wasn't it like 700?
So the Thunder are, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. They're minus 800. So theoretically, if the Pacers were to win,
Be the biggest upset of all time.
it would be this tie for the biggest upset since the 04 Pistons beating the Lakers
Spurs.
with
Or the Lakers,
that
yeah.
goofy Lakers team with Gary Payton, Kobe, Shaq, and
Hey,
Karl
that's
Malone.
fair. That's fair, low key, because that Pistons team beat that Lakers team. I don't
That
care
was
if they were
A
scrubbed.
5-game
Like,
series too.
I don't care if that Lakers team was a bunch of old farts. That's an upset. I mean, if 2K doesn't 2K have that old 04 Lakers team in the game?
I think so.
So if 2K's got it in, you're you're a memorable team. But Hunter's reaction was priceless. So
They're the third biggest favorites ever in the finals since
Stop.
2000. First was the first Lakers title team, or maybe the second, the one they played the Sixers,
okay,
minus 2,000. Wow.
Whew.
Okay.
And then the second biggest, we don't need to talk about the second bit. It might be the 2018 Warriors against the 2018 Cavs, but we don't need to talk about that. At minus 1,075.
What happened in that series?
Dude, shout out JR.
Shout out George Hill
Shout
for-
out Coach Hill.
breaking that free throw.
Biggest op ever. I hate that guy as a buck too. Don't you worry.
I thought he was a good player.
Yeah, well,
Well, you and nobody else. All right. So keep that opinion to yourself. But yeah, I don't need to hear about them being such a big underdog. No, I'm good. I'm good. For all I care, this series is plus 100 on each side, and we will not be talking about no upset.
dude, if it's plus 100, I'm putting my college tuition on the Thunder to win this series.
Yeah.
Sounds like the freest double up ever.
God, if the Pacers win, dude, I'm gonna have. I'm putting together a compilation of you guys throughout
I'm
the
retiring.
playoffs.
I'm like,
I'll quit the
gone.
pod.
I'm gone. Like, I'm out of here.
Yeah. Brock,
Never-
you'll just be running the show solo.
Yep, on your own. I'm not doing this
You
whole basketball
probably don't
thing
want
anymore.
that. You do not want Brock talking about basketball by himself. LeBron will cease to exist by the end of that first podcast.
Brock will go on a crusade to make people believe that he is not a top 5 player of all time, and that is the only thing that will be talked about on this podcast.
Whoa! I never said that.
No, but you're going to change it to that when it's just you. You can unleash your full propaganda.
I'm not hating that much on the 17th greatest player of all time.
Exactly.
All right, Skip Bayless, get out of here. Get out of here, Skip.
Yeah,
I'm not going to talk about how Paul Pierce is a better player than Dwayne Wade, which, by the way, is completely false.
Good.
I'm just referring to that clip of Pierce like adamantly believing it, and everybody's just laughing in his face. And I'm like, bro, I know you played the game, but if everybody is laughing at you, including I think Jalen Rose was sitting right by him, if I remember right, or something like that. Sorry, but no.
I get NBA players have to be confident to make it to the NBA. Like, you have to think that you're one of the greatest players in the league, but you also got to be self-aware. Like, I don't know if you've probably
I
seen
also
the
don't like though that they did. I mean, he probably asked for it because he has a reputation already. But like, I don't like when like TV shows do that to players where they ask them about their career versus someone else.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I like the Charles Barkley clip. He's like, yeah, I thought I was the greatest player in the world until we ran into the Bulls in '93. And I'm like, man, maybe I'm not the greatest player in the world. But yeah.
Yep.
Shout out Charles Barkley.
Shout out Charles Barkley. Shout out Inside the NBA.
Shout out TNT.
Finishing up their run. The greatest sports show of all time?
Oh, yeah.
Probably.
I would have to say so. Other than maybe, I don't know, College Game Day is really good. I really like watching College Game Day.
That's hit or miss with me. Inside the NBA is I will say College Game Day is fun, but it's hit or miss depending on the location. Because
right,
personally, I do think it's different based off of which conference they are, which location or which teams that they're visiting in the conference that they're affiliated with.
Right.
Because if it's a Georgia-Alabama game, that's 3 hours of just. No, I'm not getting into that. That's a different soapbox show.
That's for the 515 Sports Podcast that's coming out in the fall.
Professional sports broadcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't know if you guys were into the show, but shout out Around the Horn on an amazing run.
Page.
I watched that show religiously, dude.
Every day after school.
I still even my brother and we work out like 2 or 3 times a week, and we during the first hour of working out, because he has a TV in his garage, we turn on Around the Horn first, the recording of it, and then PTI right after it. And then that is the only ESPN programming that we watch outside of games.
Michael Wilbon and Tony Kornheiser.
Dude, when that show's gone, that's going to...
Yeah.
That's just
it's rough.
I guess we haven't even given our predictions.
Our picks.
I'm gonna leave Hunter for last, but Dawson, give us a little breakdown on what you think is going to happen, and then if you want to give a Finals MVP alongside, go ahead.
Okay. Thunder defense good. Indiana offense good. Thunder offense good. Indiana defense bad. Therefore, Thunder win in 5. Shea win MVP. I think that's the best way I can put it.
Pacer offense good. Thunder defense good. The other side of the ball, Shea good at drawing fouls. Pacers good at committing fouls.
Good.
I do think I do think that this could be one of the more underrated series, though, of NBA Finals history in terms of this could be a really good thing for the NBA because it is 2 small markets if it goes 7 games and it's game winner after game winner because people then will tune in. I'm worried about what the numbers will say because anybody that knows me, I love media rights stuff, content creation, like all that. The number stuff for that always intrigues me and I love reading that stuff. But do not have a good feeling about what the numbers are going to be for this, especially because of what Dawson said that they are the Thunder are the third biggest favorites in NBA Finals history. So, and unfortunately, I am going to side with the favorites in this one. Dawson, did you say how many games it's going to go? 5?
5.
I got Thunder in 5 as well. Just to be different, because a lot of the media has kind of dogged on SGA a little bit throughout the playoffs. Give me Chet Holmgren to have that moment that like people have been waiting for him to become that next star that the Thunder have been waiting for Finals MVP.
And Thanksgiving oxtail is going to go crazy for a Finals MVP. But the Indiana Pacers will not be winning this series, and in fact will lose, I'm going to say, in 6 games, because surely that devil magic's going to be going crazy somewhere. And I don't know how to say this without using the word win.
No, say it.
Shea will not lose the Finals MVP. There we go.
So what does that mean?
He won't lose the Finals MVP. Everybody else is going to lose the Finals MVP.
But if you don't lose, what does that like? What's...
I'll leave that up to you to interpret.
Yeah.
Okay.
Freedom of press. All right.
I guess. Hunter, do you think Doc Rivers has a job the next time we talk?
Stop asking me. It's been 35 days, man.
At this point, we know the answer.
Dude, I can't. Now this team's in the final. They're the only team that's playing basketball anymore, and I have to watch it.
So will he?
And supposedly, Giannis and the Raptors have a mutual interest,
Oh,
just like
Brock.
how Rihanna and Hunter
Scotty
have
Barnes.
a mutual interest in one another. Right
Scotty
now.
Barnes is the Bucks.
Scotty Barnes is the Buck. Scotty Barnes is a Buck.
No, because then the report is like, Agbaji and Barnes and Dick and one other guy. Getting all 4 of them, that's too much. You can have 2 of them. Take it or leave it. All for Giannis. I can't. These reports anymore.
Did you guys see that crazy ESPN trade? That was like a 4-team trade with the Cavs, Lakers, Bulls, Mavs.
No, I did
And it
not.
was like Donovan going to the Mavericks, the Mavs trading the number 1 pick to Cleveland, Cleveland shipping out
I
Jared
do
Allen.
remember this.
This was so garbage.
That's gross.
So garbage. I wish I had the screenshot still saved. But
I laugh every time I see some Celtics Twitter person talking about the ESPN people saying that Giannis potentially could go to Boston.
And now Giannis is going to Boston because who was it? I don't even know what idiot decided to open his mouth to be like, yeah, this is a dark horse team to get him. Like, how do you have a
Celtics
job?
would have to
Like,
give up a
how?
lot because of the cap situation. Well, I mean, obviously, JB would be involved in that trade just because of the tax and the salary situation, which, Hunter, get ready to learn right-handed basketball.
I'm really good at that. So I
Dang
don't
it, I
have to
did it
learn
again.
that, Brock.
I did it
every
again.
time, and you will never learn. Just like how Jaylen Brown will never learn either.
I did it again, didn't I?
You will always do this without fail. It's really impressive at this point.
I don't think Dawson has any idea what we're
This
talking
truly is a lob. It is truly Chalmers to Cole to James every time you do that. It's awesome. Never fails.
And Dawson still has no idea what we're talking about.
no, not at all.
Some people out there also don't know, and we're gonna keep it that way for as long as possible.
Okay, well, for Hunter Rose and Dawson Livingston, I am Brock Bierman. We are the Hardwood Convos podcast crew here on the 515 Podcast Network. Make sure to tune in, like, subscribe, anything that we post here. We do this for fun. We love talking sports. We also like your opinions, so feel free to leave a comment, suggest content that you guys want to see from us, anything that you can do to help support us. We greatly appreciate. I think Dawson and Braden will probably do a Sports Nerds episode this week. I don't know if you guys have a plan for that. I'm out the rest of the week, unfortunately, due to having to work games, Cubs games from Wednesday until Sunday, so that will be great. Catch me watching the finals in a small little closet in the studio trying to watch this. But for Dawson Livingston, Hunter Rose, I'm Brock Bierman. Thank you for tuning in. Enjoy the game. Enjoy the series of the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder in the 2025 NBA Finals.